There's fireflies out there, but I can't see
Let's leave everything and go traveling. See what tomorrow brings. It's only a choice away. Let's back up and leave today. Let's see what tomorrow brings.
We are on our way up the mountain to go see our friend. This is what we've been heading towards, so.
Yep, we're pumping some fuel from our auxiliary tank into the main tank right now. But check out this highway.
It's crazy.
All cement. There's no cracks, there's no potholes. The road into the last town we were going into was rough, like really bad. A lot like many other, Mexican.
Yeah, kind of what you expect
minor
a lot of times.
Yeah. And then down along the coast, there's the toll road, and it's like 4 or 5 lanes of perfect cement. And then here we are in relatively middle of nowhere. There's no big towns coming up as far as I know. And it's the most amazing, perfect road.
Alright, we stopped to take a break, drink a beer, let the car cool down a bit. But we've started to notice all the women are in like traditional dresses everywhere, and there's not very many cars anymore. And actually there's villages far, far up on hills that have no roads to them. And all the locals just walk there and walk down to the road, and I think they catch a bus every once in a while because it seems like there's a lot of people just waiting on the side of the road for a bus. Or maybe for a friend to come and pick them up if they need to go anywhere. But super cool. These hillside towns are amazingly high up and be a long walk.
Yeah, I mean, they walk everywhere, it looks like.
Yeah.
And that one over there seems like it's probably, 15 miles from the road. But they're not coming from the road. We noticed down in the valley there was a trail, and they're all walking it. So they're doing a 20-mile day, and that's just what they do every day, I think, or any day they leave town.
Yeah, when they need something. Pretty cool. We hit Santiago Papasquiaro just after a huge celebration for the town's anniversary. And although we missed the main party, they still celebrate every night for about 2 weeks. So we were treated to music and dancing each night we were there. Our friends showed us such an amazing time. We even tried some intestine tacos and really enjoyed the natural beauty of the town. The kindness of the community was pretty mind-blowing as well, and they made us feel right at home. Tim was even invited to join the local mountain bikers and went for a brutal ride up to the waterfall. The ride was all climbing, and poor Tim had a tiny bike and none of his own gear, so he was toast when he got back, but the view was worth it. Eventually, we bid our friends goodbye and headed toward a park we saw on the map called Mexiquillo. We weren't sure what to expect, but at least we knew it would be a place to sleep for the night. We are in a national park. Is it a national park?
Yeah.
Mexiquillo. And so we got here last night. Mexiquillo. And it was raining pretty good last night. So we just set up camp real quick. And this morning we decided we would go check out. They have waterfalls and a big
amazing.
Train track with lots of tunnels. And it never got finished. So I don't think there was ever a train, but they built all these tunnels.
Yeah.
And so we just drove that road most of today. And then...
Yeah, and like you'll see the footage, but so we went down to where you could tell it's a railroad bed. So before we actually talked to someone and found out it was, it's clear that it was because you're driving along. Of course, there's no tracks, there's no ties, but you're driving along. It's just solidly cut into rock, and it's such a slight grade that you know it's railroad related. And then you get up to these beautiful waterfalls, and they're amazing. And that's where a bunch of people were, like donkey tours
and they had zip lining going.
Yeah, they had zip lines and stuff to go out over the waterfalls. So we hiked down to the waterfalls, and then when you're at the bottom of the waterfalls, you look, and the waterfall water is going through, and we'll show you that in a second. But amazing construction,
so
more than I've ever seen anywhere for a railroad. For a railroad, that's historical or that's old. Then we turned around and we started driving, and then you go through a tunnel and another tunnel. And then you go through a tunnel that I think by the time we were done, I didn't do the odometer right at the beginning, but it was almost a full mile tunnel.
It was like you go into it and you can't see the end of it for a while.
I mean, crazy. So the beginning and the end of it were nice and concrete, and smoothed and all that. And you could see where the wood forms were once placed. In the middle was just raw rock. And then at one point they had what's the word I used?
Pinning?
Yeah, like pinning. So they'd take pieces of wood and then... kind of flat pieces of metal, drill in, and then bolt it in or pin it. And so the whole ceiling was pinned, and here you are driving underneath it. Who knows how old all these timbers are. Half of them look like they're falling, some are on the ground. A little scary, but I mean...
that one was a little bit stressful going through that tunnel, but...
It's just so long. I mean, you're in the middle of it, and you're like, I can't see where I came in anymore, and I can't see the way out. And then you get through all that, and then there's another waterfall. And at this point, you're now past all the tours and the tourists and the donkey rides. I think that big tunnel was sort of the dividing point of the tours and stuff might go through the first tunnel or two, and then this big tunnel no one did. And then once you get to the other side of it, you climb up these beautiful wooden steps.
Yeah, really cool little walkway that they made up to this little waterfall. And so we just walked up there, and then down below that there's a house.
I wouldn't even call it a house. It's like a little building, and they use the water from the waterfall to come down and fill these tubs, and then they cascade over a bunch of rocks cemented in to a shelf, and then a big tub, and then a bunch of rocks and a shelf to the next tub, almost like it's filtering it, but it's spring water coming out of the rock into a waterfall. So I'm not sure what that thing was for or what its purpose was, but it was
figure it out.
It's pretty cool. But of course, nature's sort of taking it back over, and there's plants and moss growing everywhere. And then we just kept on going, and eventually you get to the point where it's like rock crawling, and what is left of the trestle, you can tell is not as finished as the portions before it. So it's like, it looks like some quads had gone ahead, and we started going, and then it got so tight for Goose that it was like, this could be really dumb.
And the rain started to come in too.
It was dumping, yeah.
Yeah, we eventually turned around, and then it started pouring.
Yeah.
Like downpouring. I mean, it gets a lot of rain clearly here. It's really green and mossy and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was a crazy amount of rain, and then it started hailing, and all the roads just turned into rivers.
Yeah, so, inside a tunnel. So you're in a tunnel where you can't see, again, this long one. Even the short ones are a little scary, but the long one, and you can't see the front, you can't see the back of it, and beneath you is a river now. So it's a little interesting. And then we come around a corner, and we went through a few more tunnels. We're getting back to where the tourist sort of area is, near the waterfalls or the cascadas. And we see a group of people walking. No rain jackets, no umbrellas.
One was prepared. Like, it's clear that it rains here a lot. Probably every afternoon it rains here.
Yeah. And it's been raining now for 45 minutes or an hour. And we come upon this group of people.
Yeah, and it's the kind of rain that you get out maybe a minute and you're absolutely drenched. Yeah. It's downpouring.
Yeah, at one point, this is at a different portion of the day, but I needed to back up, and I needed her to spot for me to get every inch, because we're on this tiny little road, and it's a huge cliff to one side and a rock face to the other, and less than a minute probably. By the time Kelsey got back in, she's soaking wet. So we come upon this group of people, and there's little kids, there's teenagers, there's people in their 30s, and this guy runs up, and he's like, mi hermana, my sister has, a baby with her, and could you please give them a ride? And I said, yeah. And they see this big SUV, and they think there's all this room on the inside. So they open the back door, and there's just fridge, that's on this side of the truck, looking at him. And I said, solamente uno, posible dos, And so his sister and the baby get into the passenger seat, and she climbs through to the back to this area. And then they say, okay, go. So we drove her back to the sort of the Cascades or the waterfall.
Yeah, kind of where the starting point, I think, for that hike is, and they have a little shelter and stuff, so she could hang out there and wait for the rest of them to get there.
So, amazing area. I mean, this park, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface, and we spent probably 6 hours today off-roading around and then hiking up to this other waterfall, hiking up to some other waterfall.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's nice to be cold.
Yeah.
We slept in this morning because we weren't awakened by how hot it got with the sun. So.
Yeah, even the sun high in the sky, blazing. I think the high on my phone said 60 or 62, and the low is like 49, 48, so it's not that hot. It's not that cold. It's perfect.
I know warmth when I'm cold, and I know loss when I'm alone, and I know love, yeah, when I feel it. There's no light without dark, there's no fighting without heart, and I know love, yeah, when I feel it. Oh, oh. When I'm told, and I've seen war, and I've come home, and I know love. When I feel it, there's no hope without fear. You never learn to battle it if you don't keep it near. And I know love, love, love. When I feel it, oh, oh.
We're having lunch inside the car today because it's rainy, and we tried to pull into one of the tunnels, but it was just so much mist in there that it was still pretty wet. So here's our little lunch.
But we pulled back into the rain just because we want to give Goose a nice wash. She's still got a couple pounds of silt, I think, that's now turned to mud, so we're letting that wash off a little bit. So this is his first car wash of the trip.
Yeah.
All I need is heart. All I need is heart. I will never forget. I will never forget. Away, away. I will never forget. I will never forget. Away, away. And I know warm when I'm cold. And I know lost when I'm alone. I know love, yeah, when I feel it.
Working on bushings again.
Yeah, so those ones we bought 2 sets. I went to Napa, and then somebody said there's a suspension shop down the street, you should go there. So I checked that out. they had some with a little bit bigger diameter on the inside, and so they were easier for me to get on. So we lubed them up, put them on the top of the shock post, and we heard clunking today, and I moved the shock and it jiggled around. And so here are the ones we installed 4 days ago. They've completely disintegrated. I mean, you can see it looks like it's some molten plastic. I think it's just there's so much wheel travel in the rear of this that these cheapo bushings are dying. So I'm hoping and relying that the Napa ones will be better. They look almost identical, like they were made in the same place, but Napa stuff tends to be a little better than some random suspension shop in Hermosillo, Mexico. So fingers crossed, we'll see.
Working in the rain.
Yeah, working in the rain. I gotta crawl under there again and see if I can ruin another shirt.
With the new bushings installed, we headed out the next morning. This time we aimed for the coast, and as usual, we had no idea what we would find or what to expect.
Well, thanks for coming along. Please like and share.
Yep.
And that helps us the most, honestly. The most viewers and like increased traffic we've gotten is from friends just sharing it. So if you like it, do that. Santiago Papasquero.
Papasquillo. Papasquero?
They use it like a K.
Okay.
Yeah, he corrected me because I was trying to use it like a Q.
Julian will get mad at us.
Yeah, Julian, you can comment below and tell us what we did wrong.
What are you eating?
Intestines. Good. We're gonna head down the hill towards.
We're out of beer though.
It's true. So that's a good point.